Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's the Rubbin is Racing podcast with myself, Large, with Spider in Chicago, also with Quiggs, who's going to be our resident medical professional today. We have Moonhead in an undisclosed location, and the voice of God today will be Jacob, as always, making this look like it wasn't shot on a potato. This episode is brought to you by BODYARMOR Flash I.V. I have a couple of those bad boys right in front of me right now. I like the traditional grape and orange. Flash I.V. is packed with electrolytes, delivering faster, longer-lasting hydration without any artificial dyes, flavors, or sweeteners. Whether you're training, traveling, or just feeling the heat, Flash IV could be the answer to some of your problems. Do not rely on cool suits when you can rely on BODYARMOR Flash IV. Work hard and hydrate hard with BODYARMOR Flash IV. Grab yours today at 7-Eleven. Ask for it by name. We think that it's absolutely fantastic. And also, fellas, you already know what time it is. It's time to level up. And Blue Chew just dropped something crazy. I'm talking about next level championship belt gold-plated energy. Blue Chew Gold is the newest innovation from the #1 chewable ED brand. This ain't your grandpa's little blue pill. This is the 4-in-1 beast that's setting the gold standard for performance. We're talking 2 ingredients for blood flow to keep that rocket pumping, mixed with apomorphine and oxytocin to turn up the arousal and connection in your brain and body. Blue Chew Gold dissolves under your tongue and works in as little as 15 minutes. That means you can get it on quicker and stay in the game longer. Elevation without hesitation. This is peak passion and peak performance in one single tablet. If your bed could talk, it'd be asking for a break. So make life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold using the code Rubbin. That's promo code Rubbin, R-U-B-B-I-N. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast and making us all absolute heroes in the bedroom. Guys, welcome on back. We just, where were we just out of before we go to Vegas? Were you just in Phoenix?
Phoenix.
It seems like it's already a blur, and we're already a couple fucking weeks into it. I think for the most part, I don't know how it did on the Gluck poll. I know that it was polling pretty goddamn high, but it seems like they kind of fixed Phoenix by giving us a little bit more horsepower, some softer tires, and a couple of other things. I thought they got a little bit sloppy with a record, I think 12 cautions, but also had a record passes also. So Phoenix was a little bit of everything for everybody. What's your impressions of the weekend this weekend at Phoenix, fellas?
I loved it. I had a great race weekend, fun to watch. Blaney was the overwhelming favorite as the lines closed on DraftKings Sunday afternoon. However, he earned this win. He didn't just drive away from the field, and it wasn't a snooze fest as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Blaney held off a bunch of good cars, and there were a bunch of cars that looked competitive, whether it be Kyle Larson, who looked like shit at the beginning and seemingly only got better throughout the race, or Christopher Bell, who was in control for a big portion. Even Chase Briscoe, before he had more unfortunate luck, looked like he could be a threat in this race. So I was thoroughly entertained, and I like to assume that's the case for you guys as well. Quiggs, what do you think?
You left the name out on your list of guys who did well. That was in the top 5 for the whole race, Ty Gibbs. There was a point towards that end of the race where it was like the top 10 was every guy I had on my card. Yeah. And I just knew. There was somebody that commented that was like, oh, you and Spidey battling it out to see who wins. And I was going to be like, that's not how this works. We never win. Yeah. It's gonna be somebody else, and it was. Yeah. But it was a fun race.
I had a Ty Gibbs top 5.
Yeah, nice. I mean, Quiggs gave him out 65-1. I think I got him 60-1 before the race. I was dumping on Quiggs's playing card, his card, and ultimately it was the Chase Elliott pick I didn't like. I tailed the Ty Gibbs one, and I texted Quiggs during the race. I was like, dude, if he wins this, like, I'm gonna kiss you or something.
But I didn't even take my own advice. When I gave it out, I was like, this number is insane, and you're not gonna get it on Sunday. I put my pick in on Sunday and got him at like 18-1.
Real quick, did you guys hear the Ty Gibbs post-race interview?
Yes.
No.
We're going to talk about this.
Okay.
I want to bring this up now because
I want to make sure we address that.
Yeah. IndyCar seemed like a success.
Yes.
I've seen some of the numbers as far as the actual broadcasts and whatnot. And they're a little bit deceptive, obviously, because there's fall off in between the races and whatnot. So it's tough to tell what's the one for one, what brought more NASCAR guys in for IndyCar, what kept more IndyCar guys around. But in all, everyone seems to see that it was a success. Except it seems like all the people who have hard cards, myself and Spider included, no big deal, kind of a flex, they weren't allowed in the pits or the garages for Indy. So like if you're Freddie Kraft, I was speaking to Freddie the other day. He's like, I couldn't go down to the garages and I couldn't go down to pit row with my hard card. It was totally different. And for people who haven't been to a live race, it's a semantics nightmare. NASCAR's got to get multiple series in and out of the track, and just to get them onto the races. Then after the race is done, they're like, get the fuck out of my track. But getting up to the race, like you've seen them juggle around where all of a sudden the ARCA guys come in, then the ARCA guys come out. And then the truck guys come in, the truck, like we've seen all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure it was a semantics nightmare. But I thought it would be kind of kindler and gentler and friendlier if everyone could kind of walk around each other's, because I think the IndyCar guys probably got all VIP passes. I'm showing some favorites.
These are your hard card problems. This is like when you come back from a race and you're like, the suite didn't have like good enough air conditioning.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, Large, because I do think that deserves the credit. I thought that was a fun event. And also, we previously met one of my high school buddies at Arizona for the championship. Right. In years past. That same buddy that I have out there was texting me like, hey, are you going to be at IndyCar today in Phoenix? I'm pumped. I'm going to the race. So he's a guy who I think we gave his first NASCAR race tickets to, and now ultimately went back to IndyCar at Phoenix to see what that race was about. And also, Quiggs, last week I would just say, look at the feedback from all the all-season Kiwis saying that the non-traditional oval racing is what got them in the sport. I know that's kind of irrelevant to what we're discussing right now, but and I also thought it was really cool having the IndyCar analysts in the booth. I thought they provided some great insight, and that was a fresh kind of voice or kind of lens to look at the racing from. It seemed more analytical and in-depth, whereas like I feel like typically it's a little bit more surface level, which I can appreciate as a pretty casual fan, but it was cool to hear them go in depth. I also thought simultaneously building off the IndyCar storyline, Large, it was awesome to hear Kyle Larson speak on that. I know they interviewed a couple drivers after the fact, and to me, I'm kind of the opinion anytime there's anything up for debate, whether it be drivers being allowed to race, it should almost be a poll for the existing field of drivers. So I think Kyle Larson, he's a great kind of barometer, benchmark, thermometer, whatever you want to call it, for the feedback on this event. And it seemed to be well received. So, I like this idea. I'd like to see more, as would Kyle Larson.
What are the chances that like this ever turns into it wouldn't hold the same weight as like the Indy double, but like NASCAR, like when they're at the same track,
makes more sense.
Couple NASCAR guys drive Indy, maybe some of the Indy guys do NASCAR. Like it seems logistically like it makes a lot more sense than
so we have a guest today. I don't know why I never mentioned it from the onset of the show because I'm a moron, but Connor Zilisch is joining us in a couple of seconds. I don't know if you ever heard of Connor, but he's pretty big. I think he's expressed some sort of interest. It would make so much sense, Quicks, as opposed to trying to hop on a helicopter in a rainstorm and getting there 3 minutes late.
Yeah.
So, like,
and then getting threatened to be suspended from the playoffs.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Large, you mentioned logistical nightmares. To me, the traditional double duty is the logistical nightmare. It's not what happened at Phoenix this weekend. That's easy. And I think the hard card complaint could be easily rectified. Who's to say that's not just an early growing pain in this of new effort? But I think it'd be wise of both NASCAR and IndyCar to give media interchangeable access, if that makes sense, and just kind of full reign of the garage, pit road, etc.
Yeah, I think they had to get it right this season when it seems like we have more people, more eyes on it. They had to get it right. So I can understand. But if I go down there and I'd like to get to the garages and shit. Yeah, just a personal type thing. O'Reilly race, Jesse was probably the best car on the track on Saturday. He led 114 of 200 laps, but Allgaier passed him on a late restart to pick up his third win at Phoenix. He's now the first driver to have at least one win in 10 consecutive O'Reilly Auto Parts Series seasons. So congratulations to Allgaier. We might as well talk about that now. Allgaier is announced to be jumping in the 48 this weekend in Las Vegas. I felt so bad for Anthony Alfredo. I mean, we like Anthony Alfredo. He seems like a nice guy. I don't know where he lays in the pantheon of wheelmen, to be honest with you, but I know that he does so much sim work for Hendrick that he seemed like the guy that should jump in for Bowman, and he won't get that follow through because of Justin Allgaier. Why is that? Do they not like? I don't know, maybe because we're going to a mile and a half. What do you think the thought process is behind Alfredo not getting any kind of follow through?
I'm curious to hear everyone else's take.
I'll give my opinion first, because I'm bad with the politics and which drivers are attached. I think Allgaier is just maybe a better driver. And that's who they want.
Perhaps.
I think it might be as simple as that.
I'm going to build off what Quigg said. I think it might have been a scenario in which Anthony Alfredo was the best available option given the time crunch and kind of the up against the clock nature of, this news and the circumstances surrounding this. I do love it from Hendrick Motorsport giving Anthony Alfredo the start at Phoenix. To me, I'm a massive loyalty guy, and to see him rewarded for the sim time, I think is great. I think he does play a crucial role on the team, and I think it's easy for us to discount the role a sim driver plays, especially because, that stuff happens in the dark, behind closed doors in privacy. They're not sharing that. They're not broadcasting that. And I think that's a crucial role for these teams to figure out their setups. And I even look at Hendrick Motorsport this week at Phoenix, and I was highly disappointed. I was regretting my Kyle Larson outright pick, my Kyle Larson top 5 pick for, I would say, the first half of the race. And it seemed like, again, the Hendrick cars got better as the race went on. So I'm not prepared to judge Anthony Alfredo strictly off what we saw last week. I know he was laps down at certain points. I know he ultimately finished pretty good, so relatively speaking. That being said, I tend to agree with Quiggs. I think given the time, and if this is going to be an extended period of time absence, it makes sense to go with the best available driver. Nothing against Anthony Alfredo. Justin Allgaier is he's got way more experience, way more miles turned, and I love this move. I think Junior tried to reward him with the Traveler Whiskey cars and their appearance in the Daytona 500 2 consecutive years. This is another great reward for Justin Allgaier. As far as I'm concerned, he deserves it, and I'll be rooting for him.
Justin Allgaier, 84 Cup Series races run over 10 years, and he's got 2 top 10s. Anthony Alfredo, 44 races run over 5 years, and he's got 2 top 10s.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Allgaier is a much better O'Reilly Auto Parts driver.
Yeah.
And perhaps he's a better Cup Series driver. And perhaps, listen, everyone's pulling for Alex Bowman. I don't have any idea what Vertigo is like. I know I know it's supposed to be fucking awful, and it's something that you could not operate you couldn't operate a shopping cart, much less a stock car with that thing. So T's and P's, right? Thoughts and prayers to Alex Bowman, get him back in the seat. But is this grooming Allgaier to, like that stat I gave you? Allgaier is the only person in the history of NASCAR to win at least 1 race in 10 consecutive seasons in whatever it was when you were growing up, Xfinity, O'Reilly, and beyond. Because the Xfinity is normally a springboard, right? He's been there for a while. Is this Allgaier's shot? Is this like he gets to jump in the 48, a seat that has been traditionally hot, and maybe for the right reason? Not because they're pushing Bowman away, because Bowman can no longer answer the call because of something that's happened to him physically, which is a fucking tragedy, but it might be the reality. I hope it's not. Is this Allgaier now getting that? You think this leads to him getting his shot into the Cup, possibly jumping into the 48 next year if Bowman can't answer the call?
I think he's got to do go above and beyond to get that. I think he has to. I just think that seat's just such a prized seat that, the free agency market, whatever, they can get a big name in that seat if they really wanted to. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a silly season guy, but
I tend to agree with Large as of this very moment. Sorry to interrupt you, Quiggs, but I think let's say this.
I'm talking about end of the season.
Even right now, let's say this were the beginning of the season. Let's say Alex Bowman and this Vertigo condition came to surface prior to the Daytona 500. If this 48 car were open, My point is, I don't think Hendrick Motorsport is calling up Anthony Alfredo. I don't think he's their first call. No. Whereas Allgaier, I think, is one of the first calls, and I could see him filling this role. To me, this decision kind of leads me to believe that Bowman, and again, we didn't know anything when we recorded last week. The news came out an hour or two after we got off the air. I don't know anything other than what's been made public now. I want to avoid a Mike Joyce situation where I speak on something I don't necessarily know the full context of. However, this move with going with Allgaier can only lead me to believe that Bowman may be out an extended period of time if they're going with a guy that has more experience over more sim time. That's how I see it personally. Moonhead, help me out.
Yeah, like I think it's tough because last week the news came so late in the week. Like if it came, after I was sick last week, so I wasn't here, but you guys we record on Wednesday, so obviously it was midway through Wednesday and the car's going to Phoenix. So Alfredo being in the car last week could have just strictly come down to him being closer to size with Alex than Allgaier is, and him already obviously being the sim driver. There's the relationship there to get him out there to Phoenix. And now that they know, maybe have a little bit better idea on the timetable for Bowman's return, or at least know he's not coming back, this weekend, they can go ahead and actually put one of Allgaier's seats in the car and get him comfortable in the car out here.
That's a great
before they go out there.
That's good. You can't jump in my seat, fucking Spider. Like if I can't do Rubbin is racing, you can't physically jump in my fucking seat because my fat ass has made so many indentations. You would be below camera level. No one would fucking see you.
Well, I also want to add that I like where Moonhead's head's at, and I think this conspiracy theory tracks only because I was on Twitter and they posted a photo of Anthony Alfredo, maybe at the track on like Thursday or Friday when no other Cup drivers were there, and he's just smiling, happy as a clam, wearing the fire suit. And everyone on Twitter was asking Bob Pockers, Bob, is this a custom fire suit or is this one of Bowman's fire suits? And I'm 95% sure, I don't have the tweet in front of me, but I'm 95% sure the answer was it was Bowman's like spare fire suit that Alfredo was wearing. And if that's the case, I think that provides credibility to what Moonhead was suggesting with it might be a physical stature size thing. And we saw that same thing with Myatt Snyder. When Myatt came in for Bowman in real time, I remember even last week I called out how the 48 team was scrambling to get a new seat fitting in there. So there might be more logistical hurdles than we're aware of behind the scenes.
And there's been like plenty of instances, like with the Junior talked about a few years ago, Michael Annett was going through some sort of leg injury or something, and he got the call in the booth and obviously couldn't get down there to get in the car for Annett. So then they were scrambling to find people, and like I think at one point BJ McLeod was like on the list, but he couldn't fit in the car because him and Annett were obviously nothing alike physical size wise, and then they ended up having to get like Austin Dillon or something. So shit like that happens where they just have to find somebody who could fit in the car, and I think that was probably a big role in Alfredo getting the nod for Phoenix, because he and if what you're saying about the fire suit's true, that kind of backs that up, where they're pretty close in size.
I love Alfredo.
Yeah,
I don't like the sauce, to be honest with you. I never order it, but I do. So I don't know. I'm pulling for him. You know what? I was about to ask the question. Please, nobody answer this. I was about to ask the question about then who, if this thing was to go to fruition and Alex was to suffer from something that would be career ending, who should jump in the 48? I'm going to shelve that question for now because I think it's disrespectful to Bowman. Don't you think? Like, I think the guy's at home fucking dizzy as shit, probably throwing up every half hour, whatever the symptoms are. He doesn't need that shit. So I'll end this little part. Oh, go ahead.
Before you end it. Before you end it, I saw, again, and I know Twitter noise is Twitter noise, but the people that were being requested to drive the 48 or considered, I mean, what are we doing here? I was hearing Corey Day's name thrown around. I was hearing Raja Karuth. Caveat, I love Raja Karuth. I'm rooting for him. I want him driving Corey Day's car more regularly, getting more opportunities over Corey Day. That being said, am I prepared to let him wheel the 48 car? That is crazy. These kids are O'Reilly drivers. I think they need to cut their teeth down there. And again, Allgaier's the guy. If not Allgaier, Alfredo's our next best guy, Large, with the current standing.
Because you can't grab anybody mid-season. You know, that's the whole thing. It's who do you want? Yeah.
ideally this were the NCAA and, you know, Hendrick could call up Trackhouse and say, we want Lane Kiffin, a.k.a. Connor Zilisch, in the 48 and just make a sweetheart deal. You know, that's not the reality we exist in. So the best options, in my opinion, are Justin Allgaier, then Anthony Alfredo currently in the current market. It's not Corey Day or anyone else.
Yeah. 10 cars didn't finish this weekend, and most of the cars that didn't finish I had on my ticket, so it actually bugged me a little bit. Like normally I'm like, oh shit, we got a nice thin field, you know, moving and shaking. Maybe Blaney can get through the pack a little bit better when there's only, you know, 20 guys left. But so I don't know, it got a little bit. I think the stage break cautions. So, and I know why they have them. If they ran a clean race like they did for O'Reilly, I think the O'Reilly race this week only had one natural caution. So those stage break cautions was really when commercials had their time to make some hay. So I get that. But when you have the 12 cautions, you know, including the stage break ones, and they have those gigantic ones, I hate to sound like one of these other bitches just throwing fucking fuel on the fire. It gets a little bit long in the tooth for me. But either way, I think, you know, Mike Joy was on saying how he apologized on behalf of Fox for not showing the updated point standings right after the race. And that's growing pains coming back to the chase, because as soon as this race was over, I wanted to see the standings. I wanted to see the new fucking standings as soon as that race was over. That's what the chase produces for fans. And we didn't get that out of Fox too. I just wanted to mention those two things. I don't bitch a lot about, especially as much as Spider, about some of these broadcasts, but I noticed that it kind of
I was giving compliments last week, Large.
Yeah, you're right. I hear you. Oh, Eric Jones gets a top 10. By the way, congratulations, Eric Jones. I know
Quiggs hates to hear that.
Quiggs hates to see it, but we fucking love it.
I mean,
Eric Jones is Quiggs' SVG.
Yeah. That's just the top 10 with the guy who had zero impact on that race that just snuck in there.
Because everybody else didn't finish.
Yeah.
So Eric Jones,
what he finished? Not like 10, probably?
Yeah. Who cares?
He finished 10.
Blaney, by the way, the mustache is disgusting. It just is what it is. But the guy's got the world by the fucking balls. And it seems like he wins races when there's great photo opportunities. You know, like that whole Penske, whenever somebody's celebrating a fucking birthday or he's at his home track or his dad brought the whole family reunion to, you know, he delivers on those times. And I thought the way to watch him drive was a pleasure this weekend. To watch Christopher Bell with a better car chase him down, right? We're all in agreement. A couple more green flag laps. Christopher Bell takes fucking Ryan Blaney, I think, right? Like, and it was a masterclass.
Did you hear the call when he
was on
when he was coming to the line? They said something along the lines of like the most desirable man in NASCAR.
It's crazy how thirsty they are.
It was something to basically be like, he's a good-looking guy that's about to win right now.
Yeah, they can't help themselves.
They're trying to make him like a sex icon almost.
Yeah.
Quicks. Yeah.
Why the fuck not? He has a pet llama, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
So Penske sweeps the weekend. 3 Chevys in the top 10 collectively, and I saw this stat. I didn't even check it. Chevy led a collective 1 lap on Sunday. You know, it's Phoenix, so it's not like necessarily a Chevy track, but they certainly did shit the bell. The only thing I did like about Blaney, because, you know, I don't like when good-looking people are successful, he forgot to put the fucking parking brake on. You see that shit?
I love
like
that,
Amy
bro.
was like, oh, your fucking car's running away. He's like, oh, doop, doop, doop. I'm like, did it? Whatever. People find that.
Yeah. That, between that and giving the flag away, I loved Blaney post-race. It was a vibe.
Yeah. Ty Gibbs, right after the race, and they get into, you know, Ty Gibbs, what did P4 finish, I believe?
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Yeah. So Ty Gibbs' season so far, 23rd in Daytona, 37th in Atlanta, and then 2 P4s in a row. They go over to him. He's got a much better outlook on life this season than he did last season, right? Where everyone was kind of on him. Seems like there's a little bit more positivity. And we never know what's going on with distractions outside of the track, although we're getting to see some of the shit with the gay bar stuff. Let's talk about that in a sec. Ty Gibbs, for his soundbite, says, I'm with the right people. I'm with loyal people. I'm with people who believe in me. Those are the 3 ones, those are quotes that he pulled out. That's a shot across the bow on Chris Gabehart. Does that make Ty Gibbs more or less likable to you? I think if this was somebody who was neutral, you might be like, talk that shit, young man.
Yeah.
But Ty Gibbs, we know, could arguably, since everyone's sort of like Kyle Busch, we're rooting for him to get off the schneid. Denny had that little bit of a reinvention. Ty Gibbs is arguably one of the most hated guys in the Cup Series, if not the most hated. What did you think of the comments afterwards, especially knowing what we know now about the Gabart thing?
I don't think it was necessary, first of all. And I mean, I listened to it and I asked you guys before we started recording here, hey, did anyone else hear that? Yeah. And the reaction was all yes. So, yeah, I don't know. To me, that was a clear shot. He looked right in the camera and it was pretty, I mean, anyone who knows the context knows what he's referring to there. So, yeah, I don't love the move. Now, am I prepared to disown Ty Gibbs over this? Absolutely not. We've seen NASCAR. I mean, NASCAR is one of the pettiest sports. Shout out Richard. And I'm not even trying to include him, particularly more so with what we saw last season, for all of last season. And I'll leave it to the audience to decide who I am considering petty. But this is the latest instance. And we see NASCOURT again this season with this lawsuit. We got fucking private investigators following guys to lunch and whatnot. I don't love this move from Ty Gibbs. To me, if Gibbs has it as black and white as they're leading the internet to believe, and they got Chris Gabehart by the balls, these comments are unnecessary, and just let the facts speak for themselves. So I don't love this move. I don't think it was necessary. Ty Gibbs almost sounded like bittersweet, and I get it. You're trying to win the race, right? He was knocking on the door for his first ever Cup win. I think you kind of got to be happy with where you're at in this era where it's points based. You have to be happy with a fourth place finish. And I think he's sitting pretty well. Also, Large, I go back to an interview we did with Ty Gibbs last season. And anyone who watches this show knows my go-to question is, which track are you adding? Which track are you removing? Ty Gibbs said he was removing Atlanta. And I was stunned. I was floored because I was of the opinion that the Atlanta redesign and the current Atlanta is one of the most exciting, best tracks. So to hear a driver come on here and say that they didn't enjoy it was stunning. But I also think that might explain why that's his most worst finish this season. And given that context, I'm more intrigued to see what the rest of the season looks like for Ty Gibbs. But I'm not jumping ship. I'm riding with Ty Gibbs.
All right. I mean, what do you think? Give me some feedback. Quicks.
I mean, I'm always here for just a snide comment, right. Little subtweet. But I don't know. These guys know what they know and have their side and have the inside info and stuff. And if Gabehart is guilty of what he did, then Ty Gibbs probably in the right and can kind of make those comments.
He's gonna. I mean, this lawsuit is more intriguing to me than the fucking Michael Jordan one for some reason. I mean, I was speaking to Moonhead about it right beforehand, and yeah, everybody. By the way, Spider, I totally forgot Gibbs said that about Atlanta. Good recall on that fucking thing.
Yep,
that blows my mind. The private investigator picture. Just so you know, we have nothing new to say in the Gabehart case because it's the 16th, the day before St. Paddy's Day, will be the next court proceeding. So hopefully we'll have something out on the Rubbin is Racing that week. They have a private investigator following this guy around, taking pictures from the bushes of him having fucking lunch with people from Spire. His wife got a ride from Spire's owner, Jeff Dickerson's plane to the championship in Phoenix in 2025. This is Epstein shit. They're checking flight logs, right? You know what I mean? So here's a little something personal. I hired a private investigator because I thought my wife was getting chummy with her yoga instructor, and nothing came from it, so it's not a big deal. But the exact same pictures came out of it. It's fucking wild to watch this when you're watching NASCAR, because the traditional NASCAR guy is known as, this southern dude who's working on his fucking engine block on the weekends. But this is like OC type soap opera shit, and I'm kind of here for it. I don't know what it is. I'm very, very curious on what the ace card Joe Gibbs has up his fucking sleeve for this. I'm very fucking curious on how bulletproof Gabehart thinks that his story or, the reality of it is compared to what Joe Gibbs Racing is accusing him of. This is fascinating to me. I'm all, in case you guys haven't noticed, I'm fucking all in on this bullshit, and Ty Gibbs putting a couple of fucking logs on the fire makes it even more intriguing to me.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe I should be here for the drama like you and Quiggs.
I'm here for the drama.
Yeah.
Well, I just say I'm here for it. But in the back of my head, this case, I feel like completely comes down to, with all the other, the photos of things, it's whether or not they get to open that drive and see what's in the Spire folder, right? Like it's either... It's like, and whatever you have to do, recover the data or whatever. But like, it's going to be opening that hard drive and being like, are they confidential files? Is it just a folder that he named Spire to, like, from things that, like, I don't know. You could have like a Barstool folder on a hard drive and it's not necessarily company secrets. It might just be like
AI
some exports of like a graphic that I made. Something like that. But like all this feels like it's going to come down to if they get that subpoenaed and if it can't get open, they won't be able to close the case. If they open it and it's all the confidential data that he's not supposed to have, it's on him. But I don't know. It's interesting. I want all the side drama and private investigators.
I want all this shit.
I feel like we're headed to Discovery. Like,
we are.
Like they're going to start airing shit out again, like text messages and documents.
By the way, and here's another thing. This isn't, I was just kidding around about my wife and the yoga instructor, but I've been under investigation for trading, right? I've been very, very open about this. I had this huge investigation where I could have went to prison for 7 years, I think it was, and I had to pay like $4 million in fines. That's what they were, and everything was cleared. It took nearly 5 years for me to be cleared. And I was here in Barstool when I got cleared. I was doing Barstool Breakfast when I got something from an attorney I no longer talk to saying that this is a whatever. And I also have an NDA, so I can't get into it, that type of shit. When they went into my cell phone, I was like, oh, I'm fucked. I will not be able to be married. I probably won't be able to live in the United States anymore. Like, when they go through fucking hard drives, just know it's sort of this boilerplate language that people get. Oh, they're going to scrub my hard drive. Yeah, let them scrub my hard drive. Don't let anyone scrub your fucking hard drive, man, because there are recesses that you either accidentally, click on or you purposely click on to masturbate, and you don't want fucking people to know about it. Believe me.
Oh, yeah.
And the way that Spider and I talk about people on text message, and we're both very nice guys, don't have a bad bone in our bodies, you would think we're the worst people in the fucking world. Yeah. So take that with a grain of salt.
It's a big Twitter thing. It's like anytime there's a video of somebody getting arrested, it's like the tweet's always me and the boys when the group chat gets leaked.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Like, it's not unique to anybody. Like everyone has
unflattering something.
Just things that they say in private that like they'd be like, if this got out, it's bad.
Like Noah. Like remember Noah with the fucking under the knee thing? Like Noah liked. He doesn't do it anymore. But I've fallen asleep on my fucking computer just liking, all this kind of stuff. And I don't know. That's what makes this whole thing intriguing to me. Moonhead, as our traditionalist, is this just all fluff and out of the way? Does this make Ty a spoiled, rotten kid even more so than people thought he was before this whole thing started? What's the take on yours from your perspective on these proceedings?
It definitely doesn't help him beat the spoiled rich kid allegations, just because it seems like a lot of this stems from him and his team, even if it's not something directly that he maybe did. Obviously, for whatever reason, Gabe Hart didn't see much of a future sticking around and being involved in that. That said, I don't know, it seems kind of like business egos with a lot of these lawsuits. I think it was Spider earlier used the word petty, and he's exactly right. Like, it is a very petty sport. So I think that some of it could just be two teams being petty and not being able to settle this like adults, so they're having to go to court. With the Gibbs thing, though, the way he's like publicly perceived, I like the way that he's, going to make his little snide remarks, but I feel like if there was ever a time for him to just be quiet and focus on the fact that he finally had like a run where it looked like he might actually win this thing, I think this would have been the time, because now everybody's talking about this. Nobody is really talking about the fact how good Gibbs ran or how close he was to winning. That's or true. The fact that they're turning around, they're still talking about this Gabe Hart stuff. So I think, from that perspective, it probably would have done Gibbs a little bit more good if he just thanked his guys and didn't acknowledge it. But I can also appreciate stirring the pot a little bit. That said, I wish he'd have been a little more like, you got to dig deep if you're going to do that. Cause he was like, that kind of sounded like a single dad on Facebook or something. That didn't really sound like a, oh, I'm a badass, I just ran top 5 without y'all type thing.
I remember who was the kid in the Xfinity? He's like, no, I'm really glad that he got his first win. I have 13 of them. Yeah, but I'm really glad. What was it, like Sammy Smith or somebody like that? Was it? It was somebody. It was Mayer or Smith or somebody. Ty said, no, I'm really glad he got his first win. Since I got 13. And that was one of those ones that constantly comes up. And I don't know.
That's a great quote.
It is.
That was a good one.
Yeah. So with all this shade being thrown around, there's no better way to tell you guys about Shady Rays. Quick question. How are my Shady Rays basically the same quality as the $200 sunglasses I've been buying for years? And I'm not exaggerating. They feel every bit as premium as the expensive brands that I've owned. Meanwhile, I'm wearing Shady Rays to the lake, on the boat, at the game. I wear them coming to work. I got 2 in my car. I wear them at all the races because if I drop them in the ocean, they replace them. If I knock them off of a table and they snap, they replace them. If I sit my fat ass on them one day, they replace them. And here's the crazy part. They're actually premium shades, polarized lenses that cut the glare hard, super clear optics, durable frames with solid hinges, clean classic styles that look sharp without trying too hard. If you're outside, on the water, in the sun, driving every day, you need shades that actually perform. So go to shadyrays.com, grab a pair, or get sunglasses with lost and get sunglasses with lost and broken protection. We've teamed up with Shady Rays. Spider has them on his head right now to bring you an exclusive offer.
This is the Denny Hamlin edition.
Those are the Hamlins right there? Yep. Oh, they're
These
handsome.
are the Raja Caruth.
Jeez, you got them too? Look at that.
I got the Kyle Busch ones in my backpack.
You got the KVs? That's nice. Head to shadyrays.com. Use code Rubbin for 40% off. 40% off 2 or more polarized sunglasses. Okay? Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. So go to shadyrays.com. Use the code Rubbin. Buy 2 or more polarized sunglasses, and you're going to get 40% off. ShadyRays.com, code Rubbin. Thank you, Shady Rays, for your continued support. Biggest winner this week in chase concerns was Christopher Bell. He jumped 18 spots. The biggest chase loser was Daniel Suarez. He lost 10 spots. I sent you guys the leaderboard on this on the chase. I'm very much if the jury was out on whether or not I'm going to like the way it affects the season, I think I am liking this very much. Are you guys getting a kick out of this now every week, just kind of looking these up and seeing, Tyler Reddick obviously is by far and away, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, can Brad K actually compete to get to, contention? How are you guys feeling about the chase so far this year?
It might be too early to say, but I'm prepared to say I like this format better.
You're liking it so far? Okay.
Yeah, the reason why is because, I used to value wins more than anyone, and I would be kind of stubborn and only take outright winners or not good enough about taking top 5s, top 10s, whereas I feel as though that's the best way to make money on DraftKings or on these races. So, I don't know. I think this format is better, personally, from this so far at this point in the season. Sure, you have Reddick, who's rattled off 3, but I think there's some great storylines underneath there that have provided great entertainment that's only going to continue to boil as the season goes on.
I had heard that realistically, by the time we get to the chase, only the top 3 guys have I don't know if a legitimate chance to win a championship. And then somebody had said mathematically, the top 6 guys could legitimately win a championship once the chase starts. So the top 6. So I'm just wondering why it's 16. Is it one of those things where the other 10, and I know we spoke about this before because it's a money thing, but it just kind of turns the other 10 into participation trophies. But we'll see, right? That's the only thing I have going on in the back of my head. It still continues to stick in my craw. One person who is not on this top 20 in point standings is somebody that we're still very fond of, and that's Connor Zilisch. And Connor is going to be driving the Jockey. It's a cool little paint scheme. It's like their 150th birthday Jockey. So he's going to be driving a Jockey car this weekend in Las Vegas. So we decided to sit down with them just to talk about how fucking miserable Vegas must be for a 19-year-old with a pocket full of money and just cameras all around. Like, imagine that. Like, if we had a pocket full of money and we're 19, we're in the Spearmint Rhino fucking making it rain or whatever, but Connor Zilisch can't do that. He's got to go and fucking Uber Eats at his hotel while everyone else is tearing it up. So without further ado, here's myself and Spider talking with Connor Zilisch. All right, so as promised, we have that rookie phenom, that 19-year-old stud, whatever the fuck you want to call him. We've had him on a bunch of times. It's always a pleasure to talk to him. It's Connor Zilisch. Connor, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, my man. How are you, Large?
Very good. I can tell you one thing. I am a fan of you, and I am a fan of Jesse Love, or at least I was. And then I had seen something. I think you guys were down in Orlando before COTA, and you had gone on a roller coaster. Believe me, roller coasters now are not roller coasters of old. They try to shake the soul out of you. But Jesse Love, for a accomplished driver, was crying like a bitch on that thing. Was that just like editing? Did the editor hate him, or was Jesse that much of a little girl when he got into the roller coaster? I'm hoping he's going to see this clip, but go ahead.
Yeah, he was definitely. He's a tough guy, right? You see him and he looks like a tough guy. He puts off the tough persona, but you get him on a roller coaster where, he's not in control, and man, he did scream like a little girl. It was pretty funny. I didn't expect that out of him, but it caught me by surprise, but I was laughing. It was a good time, and we enjoyed our time at Universal, and I enjoyed seeing a side of Jesse that I don't think I've ever seen before.
And we're equal opportunity. Jesse wants to come on and defend himself. He can. But right now, there is photographic evidence that that guy doesn't have much of a backbone when it comes to roller coasters. That's me talking shit. Let's start off with one thing. I had watched that Full Speed on Prime. Spider and I were talking about it beforehand. How'd it feel to be part of that production? Because every now and again, we get these little slice of lives about, either the full season or specific races or specific drivers. And I watch all of them. All I do is consume that stuff as much as I can. And then to see you on that one, particularly going to the story, you see the woman and all that, how does it feel to, on top of being in the Cup Series and doing all this stuff at a very high level, being part of these productions like the Full Speed on Prime?
Yeah, it was really awesome to be a part of Full Speed and the entire Amazon Prime team. It was really cool. I had to watch myself a couple times. I always had to make sure people knew I was mic'd up whenever I walked up to them. And you got to be careful with what you say. But I tried to be as myself as best I could. I feel like I didn't have to reserve too much. And I've got a great team and sponsors who allow me to be myself. So, I definitely am fortunate in that realm. But it's really cool. I feel like I'm a new guy on the scene, and not a lot of people know me or who I am or how I got here or much about me at all. So I feel like any opportunity I get like that to kind of share a little bit about myself and how I got to where I am today at 19 years old is really cool. So hopefully we can do more stuff like that. I love getting to kind of be on shows like that and show some personality. It's always cool for the fans to have something like that too.
Yeah, I thought it's been great to watch, not only you on Full Speed, but also on the roller coaster, as Large mentioned. But the main event, as far as I'm concerned, has been on the track itself. I know obviously you've started Cup races prior to this season, but you're now 4 races in full time as a rookie. What are your thoughts so far, where you stand on this season?
Yeah, well, I'm sitting pretty far down in the points order. I definitely think we could have had a better start to the year. But thankfully, in my defense, I guess, it isn't all my fault. I feel like I've done a good job of trying to make the most of the weekends that I've had. I think COTA, we had a race-winning car and finished 14th. And in Atlanta, we were, pretty solid and we're probably going to finish in the top 15 at least, and got involved in a wreck there. Daytona, same deal. I finally got up to the front and got involved in a wreck. So yeah, to say the first 4 races have gone great would be a lie, but I do feel like I've learned a lot, and I've just kind of been tossed around like the rookie. So I'm sure it'll turn around, and we'll get some results going our direction, and be a little better for us. But yeah, hopefully that starts soon because it's been tough.
Yeah. And I think the results, the finishing results, don't tell the full story. I mean, at Coda, you drove through the field twice after, like you said, getting wrecked, not being your fault. So super encouraging from where I stand as a fan watching you in just 4 races. But I guess to follow up on that, has there been like a piece of the transitional period into cup racing that has been like the hardest thing to grasp, or is there something that's most difficult that you're still dealing with?
I think most of it is really cool stuff. Like, getting to live out my dream at 19 years old is pretty incredible. There's definitely stress that comes with it though. Like I'm a professional athlete, and I get paid to finish well, and there's stress that comes along with that. So it's a lot, and I knew that coming into it, and I know that it's not everybody's cut out to be, in the position I am. And certainly I'm grateful for where I'm at, and what I'm getting to do, and racing with Trackhouse. It's been so much fun just, getting to experience everything, racing in the Daytona 500 as a rookie at 19, and, all the stuff that I get to do. It's pretty incredible. But, there is a lot of responsibility and things that come along with that. So yeah, it's a balance. It certainly isn't all what it looks like on TV. There's a lot of tough days as well, but it's pretty dang cool.
But you expected this, didn't you? I mean, I think the whole racing community thinks that your success is inevitable. Like that's Connor Zilisch is inevitably going to be very, very good at what he does in the Cup Series. I believe that wholeheartedly. But that always turns into people who are irrationally exuberant. And we come in here and they're like, this kid's winning 3 races this year. This kid's going to do this. This kid is playoff drive. Do you start to read those headlines? And then does it, when you have something realistic, like the start you've had to this year is realistic. Bad stuff is going to happen to you, out of your control, whatnot. You'll show flashes of brilliance. Then you'll just get better. And then you'll be one of the all-time greats. But which is very easy for me to say. But is it easy for you to believe that? Or is it easy for you to be behind the wheel being like, fuck, I just got put in the wall again. It's a ruined day and it sets me back and all that. Like, how do you balance the hype between what you know is probably inevitability?
Yeah, well, first of all, I appreciate your explanation of it. That's pretty much exactly how I feel, right? I know I expect a lot of myself, and I know that it's going to be, I want to succeed in where I'm at, right? I want to be one of the best, and I want to be a champion in the Cup Series. And I knew coming into the season that I was jumping into the deep end. I have 1 year of full-time NASCAR experience under my belt, and I'm racing against guys like Denny who have been doing this for 20 years. And I knew coming into it that it was going to be tough. And I didn't expect myself to come out and win the Daytona 500 and go to Atlanta and do what Tyler Reddick did. It's just not realistic. So I have realistic goals for myself, and I set those goals, and I know what I expect of myself, and I stay true to that. I try not to let the outside noise, whatever people say on Twitter, whatever people say on, social media, I try not to let that really affect the way I go about, my ways, and the way I think, and the way I kind of perceive myself.
19 years old, I can't get over that, especially when, there's historic companies that are as old as 150 years old, particularly Jockey, who you'll be running on the car this weekend. Large and I have been talking about this, and I know this is like a common kind of cliche. I'm curious to know, when you pack for a race weekend, how much underwear, how many Jockey pairs of underwear are you bringing on a race weekend? For example, like when Large and I'm going to Las Vegas this weekend for, I think, 4 days. I'm probably going to have like 8 pairs. Just God forbid I shit my pants every day. I'm curious as to know your position on all of this.
Yes, that's a great question. Yeah, it's so cool to have the gold Jockey car. Jockey's a family-owned business from Wisconsin, and it's so cool that they want to be a part of Trackhouse and our story. And it's awesome to have the 150th anniversary golden car. The car looks sweet. It's sitting right behind me in the shop. About to go to Vegas. So I'm super excited about this weekend. When it comes to traveling, I'm usually like a 1.5 pairs of jockey underwear per day. I feel like that's kind of my go-to. Like 2 days, I'll take 3 pairs. 4 days, I'll take 6 pairs. That's kind of my line. It hasn't steered me wrong yet. I haven't had to flip them inside out and wear them another day. So the day that happens, I'll probably bump it up to 2, like you, 2 per day. But thankfully, I haven't pooped myself yet.
I'm up to 4 a day, but that's because in my advanced age, I'm starting to deal with incontinence. How many times did you think Jesse Love changed his jockeys on that fucking roller coaster? I'm sorry, I went back to that. I apologize. I don't mean that. We just saw pictures of the car. You got a sharp scheme this week. Jockey did you right, because I know sometimes Ross does it where he's got the cartoon guy who's in his underwear, but this 150th scheme, the gold one, looks extremely sharp. How are we feeling about going out to Vegas outside of seeing Spider, who's going to be on the grid, very front and center on the grid? How do you feel about Vegas as a 19-year-old guy? I always find
Vegas
that it's
is
difficult.
Awesome.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't really walk across the casinos without getting looked at. And then the guy walks up to me and asks, "Hey, sir, do you have your ID on you? This is 21 and up. You can't be standing on the carpet." And I'm like, "Man, I'm just trying to walk to dinner. Can I just, I'm not gambling, I swear." But Vegas is a great place, except it sucks going there every time as a minor. Not because I'm there to gamble, but I just want to feel welcome. Like every time I go there, I feel like an outsider, like a complete outsider, and they don't want me there. And I that's right, because Vegas is the gambling capital of the world, and I can't do what they want me to do. But other than that, we're going to the racetrack, and I love Vegas, the track personally. It's a really cool racetrack, fast. But the real question is, Spider, whose shirt you gonna be wearing on Sunday?
I'm going to be rocking. You're not going to be happy with me, Connor. I'm going to be rocking the Carson Hocevar Chili's Ride the Dente Agente shirt.
Gosh.
He's got a great rhinestone scheme as well. But I'll tell you what, I will be simultaneously rooting for that jockey car and Connor Zilisch as well. I'll try to come see you on the grid before, if that's okay. I'm not sure
you can stay with Hocevar. That's fine. You don't have to come
look
see
at
me.
that. I'll FaceTime you with all my Zilisch stuff on.
Thank you, Large. You're the man. You're the man.
I appreciate that.
I wanted to know, so recently on the show, and I know what your answer is going to be. We were talking about, and even recently on this interview, you were talking about how there's a bunch of noise on Twitter, which you have to drown out, which from where I sit, Connor, fuck the haters. You're doing a great job. Anyways, I digress. A lot of people have been critical over maybe the number of road course races on the schedule. Particularly Large and I talked at length about this on a recent episode. I'm curious to know, and again, this hypothetical would never exist, but what would your level of interest be in a NASCAR sport which only had ovals? Do you think a young Connor Zilisch, which was captivated and always knew he wanted to be a race car driver, would still want to be a race car driver if it were only oval racing in NASCAR?
Yes, I still would, want to be a NASCAR driver, but I think it would take away some. Were you guys in the opinion of no road courses? You just hate Shane that much, Large, right?
Yeah, so I hate Shane. Exactly. So you got me. We had Shane on last week, and by the way, that guy's so fucking charming. I can't stand how much that guy is lovable.
You hate him. You hate how he's so nice.
I hate everything about him. I hate his waistline. I hate his handsome fucking dog. Please don't get me started on Shane Van Gisbergen. But and he's having such a great season. Like, I think that must be great for you to see too. Even though I'm very happy with where we are on road courses this season, right? Like how we picked. What do we have, 4 on the schedule? Yeah, we have 4 on the schedule. I thought having 6 on the schedule is too much, and even 5 was starting to wear. But once they took out the Roval, hey, we're here at 4, and I think that's a nice balance. Is it, like, to Spider's point, is that enough for you, or do you want to see it go back to 6? And I'm assuming the answer is yes.
I mean, if it could be 36 road courses, I think it would. I think I'd have a great shot at being a champion this year.
Mm-hmm.
But so selfishly, I feel like a couple more wouldn't hurt. I just think we're going to I think the issue is we're going to the wrong places. Like there's so many awesome racetracks in America. And, you know, we were racing at the Charlotte Roval, which gives road course racing such a bad rap because that track isn't meant to be, you know, we go to Charlotte to race on the oval. You know, we're not there to race the Roval. And it worked for a few years and it did its job, but, you know, it ran its course for sure. So I personally didn't mind seeing the Roval gone. You know, I didn't love that road course. I don't think, you know, when you have the Charlotte Oval, which puts on such a good show, I find it crazy that we were on the Roval, but there was a point in time where the Oval wasn't putting on a good show, so they had to change something. So I understand, but I'm glad that, you know, they made the decision to do 2 Charlotte Oval races. But I think there's some other tracks we could go to that are just going to put on a better show and be more enjoyable and bring in new fans. And, you know, I love what we're doing with San Diego. I think that's a great idea. I think some more of those would be awesome. The street races are super cool. You get in front of fans who've never seen the sport before. And I think that's the value that those street courses bring is, you know, you can race anywhere and there's value in that.
So if the France family calls you immediately following this interview and they say, hey, Connor, I love where your head's at, which road course are we going to? Which one would you suggest as your P1 pick?
I mean, is this like, are we in fantasy land or am I
this is
being
all
realistic?
hypothetical. Yeah, I mean, maybe we could speak it.
Land.
Okay,
maybe
fantasy
we can
land.
speak
All
it
right.
into existence.
We're racing in Times Square.
Okay.
If it is my decision, we are going to Times Square and we're racing street course around Times Square.
I mean, you're talking to 2 New York guys, so that's music to our ears.
So this is one of the first weeks where we got to see the increased horsepower on something outside of a road course. Did you feel the people at home, like everyone wants more horsepower, even though we just got the bump up in horsepower. They're like, it wasn't enough. Get us to 900. Did you see a market difference in the way that your car drove? Because we haven't really been able to speak to it for an oval's perspective from the driver's seat. Did you notice the difference? And what
Large, I'm a rookie, bro. This is my first year. I've never driven 670.
No, but you did, right?
I guess I drove it. I drove it a couple times. I did. Right. I drove it at COTA last year. So I got the COTA to COTA comparison.
I was just so complimentary of this guy, and he totally just bitched me like I was his grandfather who forgot his first name. You son of a bitch.
Connor, I got a question for you. So, growing up, was there a driver that you rooted for most? And I guess now, as a driver yourself, is there someone that you would compare your driving style most to?
Yeah, I'll go back to Large for a second. I did listen to Denny's podcast, and he was talking about it. I personally don't have a great opinion. I feel like there is definitely a lot of managing going on, which is good, right? We want that. We want tire fall off. We want, you know, more in the driver's hands and the driver's right foot. So I think there was an advantage to it. We were going faster into the corners too, which, you know, you use more brake and you know, again, makes the driver have to do more. But with that, you know, I feel like we don't know what the limit is in the next gen car because we haven't tested it. So it's hard to tell. But anyway, Spider, back to you. You know, driving style wise, and you know who I kind of see myself as would be kind of like a Jimmy. You know, I'm not a 7-time champion, but I feel like as a person, we're very similar. Just from the interactions I've had with Jimmy and you know, he's just a very laid back guy. He works really hard. He's humble. He's quiet. But he goes out on the racetrack and you know, gets it done. And I feel like he was my inspiration as a kid, and I've wanted to be like him. And you know, it's been cool to get to know him and talk to him and kind of learn more about him personally now that I am kind of in the circle.
Outside of like Ross and Shane, is there anyone that's kind of like provided what's the word I'm looking for, Large?
Guidance?
Like mentorship, guidance. Yeah, exactly. Outside of your teammates.
Yeah, who, you know, outside of my teammates, you know, not a lot of the guys at the track I would really say I go to for advice. Honestly, Noah is a big one, Gregson, and you know, he's not like a seasoned veteran, but he's been through everything I'm going through this year, and he's been through, he's had a really tough 4 or 5 years, trying to find his footing in the Cup Series. And he's just been through a lot of what I've been through. And I know that when I go to Noah and ask him for advice, I'm going to get an honest answer. And sometimes that's what you need. So honestly, Noah's been someone I've gone to and talked to when I needed a real answer. And you would think the last person to go to when you need a real and honest answer would be Noah Gragson. But, he means so well, and he's always willing to help and wants to help other people. So, I'd say Noah outside of my teammates, but Ross and Shane are my go-to guys when it comes to, on track stuff like that.
As somebody that's been around racing for a while, even as a 19-year-old kid, you come into this rookie season on a year where I feel like there's a special buzz about NASCAR this year. Maybe it was from Michael Jordan winning a lawsuit, which he didn't. I mean, there was a settlement, but I'm just saying from all the headlines, Spider and I showed up in Daytona and we were starstruck. We'd been to Daytona a bunch of times.
Crazy.
It was nuts. We're sitting there. I'm like, hey, Spider, give me a second. I'm just going to talk to Miss America. He's like, no, come over here and take a picture of Vanilla Ice. I'm like, it's just this random group of people around that was wildly attractive to me. Like the whole situation. Are you noticing that, like the drivers? And I know how hyper-focused you guys are, but as you're walking to your car at Daytona, if you're walking to your car at Vegas, you're like, still like, oh shit, there's Michael Jordan. Like, where are you as far as being starstruck outside of the drivers?
Yeah, I've got a funny story actually at Daytona. It was really cool. Like John Gruden, right? John was there. Yeah. I saw John Daly. And anyways, I walk up to Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch, and I'm like, yo, man, can I get a picture with you? Or I was like, can I get a picture? And you know how he was walking around Daytona with the camera?
Yes.
So he's walking around Daytona with this like Nikon camera, like a nice camera. And I was like, yo, bro, can I get a picture with you? This is like right on the grid before the race. I'm in my suit. I look like a driver or whatever. He's like, yeah, bro, I got you. And he pulls up his camera and starts taking pictures of me. And I was like, no, like, Marshawn, I want to get a picture with you, bro. And he was like, oh, yeah, man, I got you. It was the funniest thing ever. But yes, I do. Obviously I haven't been in the sport long enough to compare it to years past as a driver, but Daytona especially, it was wild. The kind of people and just the hype around the entire event. It felt special. And I don't have enough experience to say it was better than years past. I remember the 2005 Daytona 500 before I was born. I don't remember, but I feel like it was pretty awesome.
Last thing I got for you, then we'll get you out of here, Connor. We're going to Las Vegas this week, a place I have never been to. I've watched the race on TV. What can we expect from this race weekend?
Yeah, man, I think it's going to be, Vegas I feel like puts on a good show. The track widens out a lot. You're able to run a lot of different lanes. It's going to be hotter this weekend, so handling is going to come into effect a little more. I think, I remember the last fall race there, Denny obviously won and put on a show, and there's a lot of strategy that comes into play. And, I think he took tires at the end there and drove through the field. But yeah, it's a nutty track to drive at. Like it's fast. You got to be aggressive, and I'm excited to go to my first race with Jockey in the 150th anniversary car. So I'm pumped. It's gonna be a cool weekend going to Vegas, and I got 3 more Vegas trips before I'm 21, so this is one of them.
All right, so we are going to cut you loose, but for everybody who is still listening and watching, just make sure you keep your eye on that gold 150th birthday for Jockey number 88 car. I'll be rooting for you. Spider apparently is taking a week off, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck at Vegas and beyond. Connor, thank you so much for giving us some time.
See you, boys.
All right, so that's Connor Zilisch. Spider, that kid is getting a little bit more confident. Right? Yep. Like just talking to him, he was, I know that's going to happen, but people who are going from 17 to 19 to 20 and stuff like that, but he's a pleasure to talk to. And I hope that there was a lag for people who were listening to that interview. Spider and I were talking about it right afterwards. There was a little bit of a lag, so he wasn't hearing questions right away and whatnot. So hopefully that comes out a little bit better in the edit, but we appreciate his time, immensely. Before we move on to what's going on next week, Cletus McFarland has been a huge topic of conversation on every podcast, every radio show and whatnot, whether or not he deserves a shot in an O'Reilly car at Rockingham, and they think that shot at Rockingham will decide whether or not he would be able to run the Dega race, I guess, in the fall. So Cletus McFarland, his deservability to be in this car is that question. I'm going to ask you guys, is Cletus McFarland the Jake Paul of NASCAR? And I will qualify that as saying I'm a boxing guy. I know more about boxing than anybody on this panel, and that's not that easy. You guys aren't boxing fans. Jake Paul is not a good fighter. He's an okay fighter. He's flat-footed. There was a big right hand, but everything's telegraphed. He has zero defense, and that's just the way it is. But Jake Paul is very good for boxing. He got Amanda Serrano her first $1 million payday, and Amanda Serrano is she's a generational female fighter. Jake Paul has signed a bunch of people to MVP and has put on a bunch of shows, put boxing back in the spotlight. So he's good for the sport, but he's terrible at the sport. Is Cletus kind of like that, or is that an unfair comparison?
I personally think that's I don't know. I think he's like Jake Paul, but I disagree for different reasons.
Go ahead.
I think he's Jake Paul for the good reasons. He has a massive audience that he's bringing to the track to tune in to, this sport, whereas Jake Paul had a massive audience. It might be, is it Logan or I don't even know. I'm just going to say the Paul bro brought his audience to boxing, now has his audience captivated. We've seen the rise of even like celebrity boxing matches, whether it be something like Rough and Rowdy, which we do, or something like, Austin McBroom style, whatever they're called,
Misfits boxing and all that.
Exactly.
Shit. It's got and
we kind of see the same from Cletus with his own independent style races at the Freedom Factory, and then now taking his skills. And where I disagree with you, Large, is I think he is a skilled driver. I'm not prepared to sit here and discredit him. As I said previously, the spin at Daytona was a self-inflicted single-car spin. He didn't take out the field. I've seen far more egregious acts from drivers that do this way more regularly than someone like Cletus. So I don't understand the pearl clutching. I will leave that to the drivers. If the drivers feel like he shouldn't be out there, I will hear that. But as a fan, I'm not qualified to disqualify him from competing.
Did you hear what Kyle Busch said?
I did. Honestly, I'm glad.
Like Braxton deserves it. Yeah. Braxton deserves it.
Yeah, that kind of, and I'm glad you brought that up. You mentioned silly season before. I think this is the end of the line for Kyle Busch at RCR after hearing that conversation. Cletus signed with RCR. He's getting this opportunity for the very team that Kyle Busch races for, and he seems incredibly disgruntled at the current period with his relationship with RCR. So I'm a little bit more worried about Kyle Busch than I am Cletus, to be honest with you.
I think less Jake Paul, more it's like if, like the YouTube golf scene, if one of those golfers, or like, let's say the winner of the Barstool Invitational gets to play in a couple like PGA Tour events, people are going to be pissed. Like the golf purists, like there's going to be plenty of people that don't like it. And you can't really blame him, but also it's not the center of attention. He's not Jake Paul, like the end-all, be-all. It's a guy that's in the field that some people will be pissed, some people will watch because they don't really watch PGA, but they like YouTube golf, and they're guys in it and competing, and it's a big deal for him, and it's cool. Like, I have no problem with Cletus, and I think there's far worse when it comes to people that can just sort of buy their way into this thing. And I think he has enough respect for the sport. And I don't know. I like him. And I think
everybody
no
likes him.
Yeah.
Everybody likes him. And I will tell you, when I say that Jake Paul is not a very good boxer, Jake Paul will be a very good bouncer. I think Jake Paul will be very good in the Misfits Boxing League. I think Jake Paul will be very good in Rough and Rowdy. But my point is, Jake Paul steps in against Anthony Joshua, and he got the taste slapped out of his mouth, right? That was the thing. So that's my point. I don't think that Jake Paul doesn't deserve to be in a boxing ring. I just think that Jake Paul should never be anywhere near Anthony Joshua in a fucking pay-per-view.
Jake Paul has also altered the entire course of boxing. Has overturned the sport. Like Cletus is not overhauling the sport of you could not know that Cletus is out there.
Yeah.
He at all. Unless you want to care about it, it shouldn't bother you at all. Jake Paul, you can't ignore.
I think I have a response to that, Quigs, and so I'm going to put a pin in it. I'm also going to talk to you about something you said, Spider. Moonhead, what do you think about Cletus? Am I being unfair with the Jake Paul thing?
No, I think that it's definitely similar. I think, though, kind of to Quig's point, Cletus could go out there and be completely irrelevant in the race and not get talked about once because there's 40 of them out there or whatever. So when you have Jake Paul boxing, he is, the guy. He's why, whether you're watching to see how he stacks up against the pro or just watching him get his ass beat, it brings eyes to it. I think, though, the concern about Cletus, jumping into the deep end and going Xfinity racing is definitely a valid one, but it's a NASCAR issue. We've talked about approvals, I feel like, a lot the last few seasons. And to me, Cletus is no more dangerous than some of the other people we've seen. There's plenty of people with just as little experience. I mean, we had Ricky Carmichael back in the day go straight from racing Supercross to, running ARCA and trucks and even made some Xfinity starts himself. And I don't think that his Supercross experience made him a better fit to go out there and run an Xfinity car or a truck car. Yes, the mindset and everything. I'm not saying he shouldn't have been out there, but Pastrana came over from Rally and Extreme Sports. We've had plenty of people come over. There's Staropoli. He's an eyeball doctor. And he's racing full time in Xfinity. So I say all that to say I don't think Cletus, is that out to lunch. He's got car control. He's driven all sorts of different things. He has raced different things, albeit non-conventional routes. He's not going to be completely out to lunch. Do I think that he'd benefit more from going and doing a full season in ARCA than anything else? Absolutely, just because he obviously wants to be a super speedway ringer. I think he needs to go learn how to race in aero situations and learn how to handle a car in those situations, because he's talked about the ARCA cars planted. Then he gets in the truck and, he wrecked on lap 7 or whatever because he had never experienced that before. It's only going to get worse with the Xfinity car. And I think that is one thing. I feel like the DBC bunch has been a little hard on Cletus, but one thing I think they got right this week is that if he does get approved to go run Dega, he's probably going to be starting top 5 in an RCR car. And so he better have a grasp on it enough to at least hold on and not wipe out the whole field when he does that, because that would derail all of his momentum. But I don't think that he's he's going to do Jake Paul numbers to NASCAR, but I definitely do think he could have a similar effect. And I think people should at least respect what he's doing. The same way, like you said, Large, Jake Paul's not an elite boxer by any stretch of the imagination, but it does take some balls to go step in there in the ring with who he does and get your ass beat. And that's basically what Cletus is signing up to do here.
Yeah, Spider.
Yeah, I just think you look at Cletus to me and Jake Paul, back to the Jake Paul thing. Jake Paul started out boxing kind of cans, retired UFC fighters or people that were, shitty talent. No disrespect. But
all disrespect, they were terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
He fought soup cans. He fought a fucking 58-year-old Mike Tyson.
We have a literal fucking NASCAR show, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I tune in to ARCA racing. However, I can remember an instance when Cletus' in-car cam was live on YouTube, and he was holding 60,000 concurrent viewers. So I don't think it should be discounted that he's a influencer. He's not the Jake like Moonhead said. The Jake Paul effect, as far as I'm concerned, is already here. And I also want to, people that are clutching their pearls about Cletus, I would go back and look at the Jake Paul stuff. As I just said, he started with cans, slowly worked his way up to better and better competition. That's essentially what's happening here. And I watch Xfinity, I watch truck racing. As much as I just said, I don't really follow ARCA, but I see plenty of bummy drivers in that series. I've seen guys like Moonhead said, I'm glad you brought up Patrick Staropoli, a literal eye doctor. I'm not sitting here saying he's unqualified, But I'm saying, where was the outrage for these people? Where was the outrage for Trackhouse Project 91? Is that even the number? I'm dyslexic, so bear with me. Where was the outrage when all these people, and I know Large might have been critical when we had international guys coming over, but like I feel like Cletus has been subject to more criticism and more scrutiny than any other kind of part-time driver coming in trying to do this that I can remember.
It's one of those that if it was the opposite way, let's say NASCAR wouldn't approve it, it would be anytime Catherine Leggs in the Cup Series, they'll be like, NASCAR will approve her to run this, but won't approve one of the biggest like motorsports influencers in the world to like run in one of their lower series. Like, I don't think it's that big a deal. To me, this is
like Kyle Larson all over again. This is someone who clearly has built their life around fucking racing, that's clearly passionate about it, to the point where they will spend their life fortune and reinvest the monopoly that they built on YouTube into building, whether it be buying a racetrack, buying fun cars, etc. To me, you encourage that. You don't dump on that. So I'm rooting for Cletus. Would I have hired him to drive if I were Richard Childress? Maybe not this early, but that being said, it's RCR at a plate track, like Moonhead said. I will be rooting for him.
I also, sorry to interrupt you, Large.
Please go.
The thing that makes me sick about it all too is it always turns into like a what about argument where somebody's like, well, what about this person? Why was this person approved? Why is this, that, and the other? And nobody really raises the point. Like I wanted to go look at this Staropoli guy to make sure we weren't giving him too much shit. He has 5 truck races run over 2 years. His first one came in 2016. His last one came in 2025. He has 7 starts at ARCA, and then a few starts on the east and west side. Other than that, all I'm seeing are his 7 races in the Xfinity Series over the course of 2 years, most of which have come this season. So to me, I don't see how that's any different than Cletus.
Yeah,
because Staropoli, he just came from running go-karts as a kid, and then I think he's probably run a few local shows here and there, but to me, that's no different than Cletus going drag racing or racing fucking speedboats.
And of any sport, this is the least one that you could be like, that person didn't earn it. Like, this is the most nepotism, buy your way into it. Like, to be like, oh, he doesn't deserve it, they're just giving it to him because he has followers. Like, there's so many people you could be like, they don't deserve it. They just found a way into it.
I'm just going to jump in here for a second. And if I can, I don't put down a lot of rules in this fucking podcast because it's not mine. It's obviously Spider's first on the fucking name here. I think you guys should lay off fucking Patrick Staropoli. The guy is a fucking doctor. By the way, he's going to be, just so we know, he's going to be willing the 48 big machine racing with the Sayov. I don't know how to fucking pronounce it.
Syaps.
I am a big fucking Patrick Staropoli fan. If you guys mention one more thing about him, I'll just come out to where the fuck you are and punch you in the mouth. How about that? All right.
I think you guys are
no. I got the. Secondly, I think with the Jake Paul thing, if Jake Paul decides to absolutely underperform, like just be an absolute piece of shit, the only person that's going to hurt is Jake Paul, right? He's going to get his fucking block knocked off, a concussion, and possibly worse. It's very dangerous getting into a ring with Anthony Joshua because there's a good chance that if you're not a skilled fighter, you can get killed. The only difference between Jake Paul and Cletus McFarland is that Cletus has a 3,200-pound piece of metal that's going 100 and something miles an hour, around a pack of tight 38 other type of drivers. So the fucking stakes are higher. I know that the old argument of Staropoli and anybody else who doesn't deserve to be in the car, that whole 2 wrongs don't make a right type thing, they shouldn't be in the fucking cars, or at least not in O'Reilly and up. Maybe you can kind of get some breaks in trucks. I don't have a real huge opinion on this. I just know that DEI, they're making a DEI like diversity, equity, inclusion, and Cletus. It's now DEIC as far as some people are concerned. I don't see it like that. I don't. I'm just wondering why the fucking rush with Cletus. I think this guy will only gain traction doing his motorboat stuff and doing whatever. Why wouldn't they? Like, there's no rush to bring Cletus up like this, is there? Can't we put him on, not ice, be like, this guy is the next dude, and he's got all this personality and all this following, and maybe bring some fucking light to wherever he's running in ARCA or something. I don't know. I don't know what the fucking rush is with him. So, but I wish him the best of luck. Cletus McFarland.
We should get Staropoli on to teach us about Vertigo.
Last thing I want to say, I was just painted as a Staropoli hater.
You were fucking painted as him. By the way, you have a bad eye. Go to fucking Cletus McFarland, asshole.
I said previously on this show that I was going to let
it's a terrible point. I take it back.
Staropoli do LASIK on me while I interviewed him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't want to be labeled a Staropoli. I think it's very cool what he's doing, and I'm happy he is.
It doesn't sound like it, guys. Doesn't sound like it.
I'm just saying, if we're going to call out Cletus as an experience, we should probably say, this guy could have used a few more laps in ARCA as well. That's all.
Well said, Moonhead.
I'm just being silly. A lot of people wondering when we're going to be going to the tracks. Obviously, we're at Daytona. Spider is going to be in Las Vegas this weekend. I'm not going to be in Las Vegas, but we're going to get to his trip in a couple of minutes when we do the preview. We just found out yesterday, Spider and I will at least be at Springdega. Then we'll be at the Coke 600. Then we're probably going to be in Nashville, Pocono. I don't know if we're both going to be at Pocono, but I'll definitely be there. San Diego, Atlanta in July, and then Richmond in August. So that's kind of the beginning of the season for us. And what we do after August into the playoffs is still up in the air. So if you guys want to come by and hang out with Spider and I, you'll see Spider at the track this weekend in Vegas. He loves to hang out with people. I mean, we all do. It's the fucking greatest thing in the world. Otherwise, we'll see you in Dega. We'll see you in Charlotte, Nashville, Pocono, San Diego, Atlanta, Richmond, and a couple more to be determined, which I think is kind of fair to say. But this weekend is the weekend that is at hand, and we're very much looking forward to it. So let's talk a little bit about Las Vegas, and it's brought to you by Chili's. Chili's Dente is back for another ride. Let's ride the Dente Agente. Ride the Dente isn't just Chili's euphemism for enjoying a world-famous Presidente margarita at Chili's. It's a call to action to grab life by the Presidente shaker and have a good time living that Dente lifestyle. But yes, it's mostly a euphemism for enjoying a world-famous Presidente margarita at Chili's. When you cozy up to the bar at Chili's and order a Presidente margarita, you're not just getting the world's most popular margarita served in a classy blue shaker. You're getting much, much more. You're getting a great drink with a great dinner that's going to set you up for a great night. You're also getting a little taste of that carefree, have a good time that Chili's and the Presidente are known for. But more than anything, when you're watching racing at Chili's and you refill that glass from your personal shaker of Presidente, you're saying to the world, hey world, it's me. I'm cool, and I appreciate a great tasting margarita at a fair price, and oh yeah, I like to party. So when Spider is at the track with Chili's this weekend, know that I'll be cozying up to the bar at Chili's and ordering myself a Presidente margarita, and I invite you all to do the same. Spider, what the hell are you doing out there with Chili's this weekend? I'm curious.
I'm pumped.
It's going to be fun, right?
Yeah, Carson Hocevar and I are going to be spending the afternoon together. We're going to be filming a little bit of a custom social, kind of us exploring Las Vegas. That should be dropping sometime on Friday. So I'm really pumped for that. Spire's got a lot of cool stuff going on. I know the paint schemes have just been a massive talking point, and I'm really excited to see what they have on track this weekend. It's like the original Ride the Dente. It's more of a white scheme with some rhinestones on it, and I'm hearing there's some other really cool stuff associated that should be cool to see. So pumped to be out there with Spire and Chili's, most importantly, this weekend, riding the Dente Agente and spending some time with Carson Hocevar. If you're at the track, come by and see me. I also think the plan is to attend the dirt racing. One of the biggest feedbacks that Large and I always get is, when's Rubbin is Racing going to be at the dirt track? Well, folks, this Friday in Las Vegas, the track across from Las Vegas Motor Speedway at the dirt track there, Spire and Chili's also have a dirt car. Shout out Josh Skelsey, I believe is his name. So I'm going to be rooting for him on Friday, and Carson to potentially win one here from Las Vegas this weekend. But yeah, it should be great. And
He better be on your ticket. He better be on your ticket.
I don't want to tip my card. How about this? I'm going to tip it and say he is not on my card.
Whoa.
And I will explain why in a minute. I'm excited to explain why. So stay tuned.
I just had a great idea for your guys' video, but I don't think it would fly.
Oh, okay, well, shoot.
What if we shot the whole thing as if it was being filmed by a private investigator?
Carson Hocevar
just like
has lunch
dealings.
at Chili's with Spider, right? Because is Carson leaving Spire for Spider?
Damn,
and there's him eating fucking Tex-Mex rolls or whatever the fuck
maybe
is.
check with them if they think that's funny, or if they're like, no, we can't do that.
What are those things that are great? The Southwestern egg rolls, right? Is that what those things?
Yeah.
Honestly,
man, they're awesome.
My favorite is the Big Mouth bites. The Big Mouth bites go crazy. The little burger sliders.
Yeah.
But the best part is the triple dipper. You can get the Southwestern
stop
egg rolls.
it! Stop
you
it!
Can
You
get the egg
fucking
rolls,
walking
the Big Mouth
head.
bites, and the Mott sticks.
Yeah. Mention Spider, you get extra chips and salsa.
That's right. Tell them Spider sent you when you get to Chili's. They'll probably have no idea what you're talking about, but at least you'll have said it.
Listen, I joke around about Cletus and Staropoli and whatnot. If there is an opportunity to get the Chili's Gold card and you come back east with just one and not two, when this is a 2-fucking-man operation at least, and I'm saying there should be 5 because Quiggs and Moon and Jacob should all have one. If you come back empty-handed with us, just don't fucking come back. We don't have a full schedule of races. Trucks are still off until next week, but we do have the Luna on. So just O'Reilly. I'm still having a tough time calling it O'Reilly. You'll have to stay with me. But the schedule for this week is going to be the Luna, is what it's going to be called for the O'Reilly. It doesn't have anything else there. It's going to be Sunday, March 14th, starting at 5:30 p.m., and you can catch all the action on the CW. The field is interesting. You got Cole Custer in the single 0. It's not fucking with Sheldon Creed's 00. You have Connor Zilisch in the 1, Chandler Smith in the 5. Chase Briscoe is going to be willing the 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Who else is in this? Daniel Dye is in there, Kyle Larson, and, of course, our friend Patrick Staropoli. So that's going to be Saturday's race with O'Reilly, and the weekend culminates on Sunday with the Pennzoil 400. So the Pennzoil 400 will be starting at 4 p.m., and you can catch all of the action this week on FS1, and the field looks pretty much cut and dry. Nothing really to report there. All right, boys. So the only thing left that we have to do with Las Vegas is to pick a couple of winners. So this is going to be picking the tires. I am going to invite Spider to go first because you seem like you have your card set. I can guarantee nobody has my card. So you can go first, Spider. I will definitely play a cleanup in this one.
Awesome. So quick strategy for this race. I'm going back to what happened here last year, and it was an outside long shot winner. So I'm not going to go chalky this week as much as you might have thought I was going to pick Denny Hamlin with this awesome shirt. Also, check out the rolls down the arm.
Nice.
That's pretty sick, right?
What's that? The King's Hawaiian? What is that?
King's Hawaiian buns down my sleeve. But yeah, I'm not going with Denny Hamlin as much as I love Denny, and he's historically good here. I want to give a shout out to @NASCAR_money on Twitter, who ranked the top 3 drivers in average rating between Vegas and Kansas fall races in 2025. The top 3 drivers were Hamlin and Larson, who are disqualified because I said I'm not going chalky. Number 3 is Chase Briscoe. I want Chase Briscoe on my card. He's had a tough start to this season. He's currently 11-1 to win the race this weekend. Chase Briscoe in a competitive car. I was intrigued by what I saw with Joe Gibbs, even Ty Gibbs, a car that's kind of been historically underwhelming since he's made his transition into that 54 car. But they look good recently and this early season, if you remove Atlanta, which Ty Gibbs said he wasn't good at. So hopefully we can get that Chase Briscoe kind of bump this week and he rights the ship and gets back on track. Outside of that, one play I was looking at was a guy like Ross Chastain, who's 16-1. I'm not taking that. I'm also not taking Carson Hocevar, who's 28-1. As much as I just said I was going to be spending immense time with Carson Hocevar, I will not be taking him outright, and here's why. The great people at DraftKings have added a new market that I called out a couple weeks ago on this show, and that is team props. You can pick which team will win. Currently, if you look at Spire Motorsports, they are 22-1 to win this race. Why would I take just Ross Chastain at 16-1 or 11-1, whatever I just said, when I can have his entire team at higher odds, 22-1. Spire Motorsport to win this race, 22-1. I'm all over that. That's my favorite play of the week. I think either Ross Chastain or Carson Hocevar could win this. And God forbid SVG wins it. We just got a little extra.
Yeah. No, with Trackhouse. Do you take a Trackhouse?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Wait. I just fucked up.
No problem.
Who am I missing? Michael McDowell. It would be Michael McDowell as the little bonus extra added value. Thank you.
Yeah, and you don't get Chastain because he's obviously in Trackhouse.
Yes.
So you're grabbing Hocevar and Spire team, which has been on fire, right? Like Spire is having a fantastic beginning to the season. All right, so that's Spider. Quiggs, what do you got?
I got two kind of chalky ones. I'm done with the parlays. It's impossible to hit a 3-person parlay. Like I read the race perfectly last week, and you can't do it. So I am going with Kyle Larson sitting at plus 500, maybe 550, and then Christopher Bell plus 700. I think one of those two might just dominate it, run away with it. I like what I've seen. Keeping it simple with those.
It was Christopher Bell and who? Quick, sorry, I missed your first name.
Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson, got it.
Yeah. Moon, you like anybody?
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at the groups right now. I like Josh Berry in Group C. I think I also like him to be the top Ford with how he ran last year. And then I'm also going to take Denny outright to win the race at plus 700.
All right, so you have Denny I have Denny to win also, and then I have a couple of wild ones. I have Daniel Suarez in a head-to-head. Daniel Suarez plus 145. It's a little better than even money. Head-to-head with Carson Hocevar. I'm going to take Cocodril. I have Chris Bell. Even though I took Denny to win, that's my one-off, kind of chalky. I took Chris Bell as the top Toyota. I took William Byron as the top Chevrolet. And I took Chris Buescher as the top Ford. So those aren't chalky, they're not the shortest odds on either of the three. And then just for shits and giggles, I threw those three together in a parlay. William Byron, top Chevy, Chris Buescher, top Ford, and Christopher Bell, top Toyota in a 3-pick parlay is plus 11,000, which leads me to believe my picks absolutely suck, but I did throw a couple of bucks on that as well. Nobody tell me on the plus 11,000 thing, but believe me, I'm going to rub it in if that fucking thing hits. So I took Daniel in a head-to-head. I also took Bubba as a top 5 finish at plus 360. Bubba's been running very well, and then Denny to win. And that's it for us. Oh, go ahead.
One other one.
You throw one more in? You son of a bitch.
Shout out Jacob. Our great producer Jacob from Behind the Curtain just called out that Justin Allgaier is now 60-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. So I know Bowman was not listed, and now Allgaier's back live. So if you do want to wager on the 48 car, he is live at 60-1. I'm going to add him for a top 10 finish at plus 280.
It's a good bet.
I don't know why. I'm going to be rooting for him. He's getting a shot. I like Allgaier. Shout out Gator. I want a little skin on his efforts this weekend.
It's a fast track, and I'm sort of looking for a little bit of chaos on this track. I mean, this isn't like super speedway or anything like that. I totally get it, but I am looking for a little bit of chaos. So maybe that explains some of my terrible picks. That's it for us this week. Again, if you guys are out in Vegas, either at the dirt race on Friday or any of the races over the weekend, keep a keen eye out for Spider and our guy Devlin, who's the best in the business as far as I'm concerned. And other than that, we will see you guys next week on Rubbin is Racing.